Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Welcome to Sebastian's Movie Game Time. I'm your host, Sebastian. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about the less good movies that I've seen this year or 2023. Now, what does that mean, the less good ones? Well, the less good ones means that movies that I saw that I thought that were pretty good and pretty decent. I mean, even though there were a lot of great moment scenes in these movies that I've seen, and they're enjoyable, fun to watch. They are. So, but I just wish all these movies that I've seen, these less good movies I've seen, I wish they could have been better. But anyways, so this is my I'm gonna talk about all the movies I've seen. Well, the movies that were less good that I saw this year. So first off, let me just say that the first movie I'm going to start off here is Megan by Blumhouse Universal Pictures. Megan, I thought was a very interesting concept about a little girl who lost her parents in a car accident crash, and then she lives with an aunt who happens to be a builder, who's a inventor making robots and machines, whatever. And she decides that her niece, the little girl in the beginning of the movie, you know, doesn't connect with her aunt at all. So the aunt decides to make a doll, a doll, a doll just for her niece, and the doll's name is Megan. And it starts out playful. Megan, the doll, takes interest of the niece of the girl, and they become best friends. And but then suddenly, as the dolls always acts, something goes wrong, haywire, and the doll just somehow snaps somehow for some reason. And whenever the little girl feels like that she's in trouble or somebody's picking on her, Megan the doll will be there, to will be there to protect her from danger and harm's way. And Megan doll will do anything she can to make sure that no one doesn't bullies, this little girl that she befriended with. But I thought it was an interesting concept story. I mean, it's a fun movie. So, but like I said, this is a less good movie, so I'll give it 2 out of 3 stars for Megan. It's a good concept, it really is. Okay, the second movie I saw was Haunting of Venice. Haunting of Venice, I saw. Well, I didn't see it in the theater. It's a Kenneth Branagh. It's the third Kenneth Branagh movie to his Murder on Orient Express, Death on the Nile remakes. Um, I thought Death on the Nile remake was really good. Um, But A Haunted Advance was pretty okay. There were some good moment scenes in it that build up tension and thrilling moment elements. Um, and it was good to see Kenneth Branagh, who also directed the movie. He stars as the detective named Hercule Poirot, and the movie co-stars Michelle Yeoh and Tina Fey. It was great to see Tina Fey to do a movie because Tina Fey is known for comedy and stand-up. She's never done a serious movie before. So Tina Fey to do in a movie like this, it's a different role for her to do. I was very, I was very pleasantly surprised to see her in, and she was good too. I mean, all the cast were good, but yeah, it's uh, it's uh, it's a pretty okay of a movie. Uh, but it has some good moments in it. Yes. Our next movie is Plane. The third movie is Plane. It's an action movie which starring Gerard Butler, Tony Goodwin, and a black guy from that Marvel, or what is it, that Netflix Marvel show? Luke Cage, Mike Coulter. Um, it's a pretty average deal. Now, I've seen a lot of movies about, terrorists taking over aboard on airplanes, taking hostages on board airplane hostage. I see a lot of stuff. I mean, the Delta Force had that. Exclusive Decision was Russell had that. Passenger 57, Wesley Snipes had that, and it's like, yeah, it's just your standard normal cliche of, oh, well, actually, not that, well, in this movie, a plane goes down the middle of nowhere on this island in this country, and then all the passengers on board on this plane, they're being taken hostage by the local guerrillas warfare people, and Joe Butler, who's a pilot of the plane, it's his job to get the passengers back safely back on board and take them back home where they belong. And they all see, and the Joe Buller's character alongside him is a prisoner ex-convict played by Mike Coulter, who helps him to get the passengers back. And it's a pretty good action movie, solid action movie, but like I said, I give it 2 out of 3 stars. The actions was good, the suspense was good at times, so yeah. And the Blackening, it's a black comedy movie about a group of old friends. They come to her cabin to just have fun on the weekend, and then there's this game that they find in the basement of this house they rented. It's called a Blackening board game, and they have to answer questions about that answer truthfully, or I'm not sure how you play the game. But if they get the wrong answer wrong, then they will be hunted one by people with bow and arrows and stalking their every movement. It's a pretty fun movie. It was a pretty fun movie. There was some humor scenes and some laughable moment scenes. So yeah, it's pretty a decent movie. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is James Gunn's last Guardians of the Galaxy movie that he's ever going to direct. And it's the last time that the main stars, all the cast stars are going to be together again. So I thought, now Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it's a completely different takeaway from the first two Guardians movie. It was heartfelt, it was emotional, it was great. I mean, it had a good story. I enjoyed the action scenes in it. I really did. And it was good to see all these cast stars of Guardians in the past Guardians movies one last time before they move on with their lives. And a farewell to all these characters and the director James Gunn for making his Guardians movie. And the soundtrack was good too, with some good music songs. Also, there's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ant-Man and Quantum Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It was a pretty decent movie. Um, Jonathan Majors. This is the first time we've seen Jonathan Majors as a villain who plays the main villain in the movie. It's Jonathan Majors who plays the villain of Kane character. Um, he was good in the role. Majors was good as the role as Kane, and it was good to see Paul Rudd, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas come back in this dirty Ant-Man movie. But it's not as good as the first Ant-Man and the second Ant-Man movie. But it was pretty fun. I had a good time with it. M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin, I thought was a very interesting premise. With Dave Bautista and about, about three people rented a cabin, and then their cabin's being invaded by apocalyptic survivors. And it's an interesting concept, that end of the world apocalypse, end of the world type of movie. And it's a very interesting movie, a concept. And my movies are so interesting to look at and see. But I give it 2 out of 3 stars. A Knock at the Cabin. There were some good scenes that were interesting, and some thrilling moments in it. Short, and Dave Bautista was good as the lead in that film. He was great as well. Also, we have sorry, there's Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Amongst Thieves. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Amongst Thieves was a pretty fun movie. Um, Hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. I had to take I had to take my dogs outside the backyard because they were barking. So I'm sorry about that. Now, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Amongst Thieves. Well, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Amongst Thieves, I thought was pretty. It was a pretty fun, entertaining little movie. I mean, it's fun, humor, action, it's all that. But I didn't like the Dungeons and Dragons movie. The one Dungeons and Dragons movie I like is from the one from the 2000s. But we'll talk about the other Dungeons and Dragons movie when we come to the year. But I give Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves 2 out of 3 stars. It was fun. They had humor, action. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my kind of movie I like. So we had Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I thought Transformers: Rise of the Beast was really fun. It's not as good now. Now there are a bunch of Transformers. Now I've seen all the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and I've had to pick what Transformers films I like. The first one, well, the first one was really fun, but my favorite Transformers movie is the second one, which is what was it? Revenge of the Fallen. That's my favorite one. Why? That's just me. I don't know why. That's just me. And but Transformers: Rise of the Beast was a pretty enjoyable, fun movie. It was fun. I mean, and we had new Transformers characters, and they were voiced by some good stars like Ron Perlman does the voice of new Transformer. Michelle Yeoh has done one. Pete Davidson, and of course, Optimus Prime is done the voice by Peter Cullen. So he's back again as Optimus Prime voice. So it was cool to see. It's good to see Optimus Prime's voice like he was before. He's back. So it's a pretty fun movie, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. It's a fun, enjoyable movie. Um, anyways, we have Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's was really interesting. I never played the video game because it's based on a hit video game. I never played the video game, but I heard the video game. I heard the Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's scary when you play. It's like, oh really? But in the movie, they made it more like a psychological thriller movie than just not a horror game. But it's more like a psychological suspense movie. It's a pretty decent movie. It's a pretty little decent movie. I mean, it was good to see Matthew Lillard come back because Matthew Lillard he has done horror movies in the past, so it's good for him to come back and do this type of movie genre that he's known for. And yeah, and Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games franchise, film franchise, he was good as well. But I give Five Nights at Freddy's movie 2 out of 3 stars. There was some good stuff in it. It was a good premise story, and yeah, I can't wait to see the sequel of the Five Nights movie. I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully it'll be better than the first one. So and we have Operation Fortune Rise of Do Guru. It's the Guy Ritchie British spy comedy movie. I think I didn't pronounce the movie title right, but anyways, I just said it whatever. It's Guy Ritchie, so I was prepared to see humor, action, the slapstick or black edgy comediness that I've seen Guy Ritchie in the past in his movies. It's a fun movie as well. I mean, Stanton was good, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett, Aubrey Plaza, Carrie Elwes. They're all good. The whole cast was good, and it's just standard basically Guy Ritchie. So if you're a fan of Guy Ritchie's, you know the humor, the action, the wackiness or black edginess comedy, that he's known for. But yeah, it's a pretty average movie. Yes, I'll give it 2 out of 3 stars. Also, there's a Black Adam. Black Adam was a pretty good superhero movie. I just wish it could have been more better. Dwayne Johnson as the main title character, and you got Pierce Brosnan. I was surprised to see Pierce Brosnan in a superhero movie because he's known for playing James Bond. He's a former James Bond character, and he's done other good movies that I've seen him in. And for him to do a superhero movie, it's just something new for him to do. So I was very surprised to see Pierce Brosnan, and he had a good part in it as well too. So yeah. So the Pope's Exorcist. The Pope's Exorcist. It's again a good little suspense thriller movie starring Russell Crowe, Franco Nero. I there were some scenes that were intensely good and frightening at times, and it's based on a true story of this pope who uncovers a dumb. I don't know. It's one of those possession. It's like a possession type of movie. Anyways, I gave it 2 out of 3 stars to Pope's Exorcist. There was some good stuff in it that I liked, and Russell Crowe was good as the character in the film. So yeah, we have The Wrath of Becky. The Wrath of Becky is a sequel to the first movie Becky, starring Lulu Wilson, and the first one had Kieran James as the villain. Um, and now we come to Wrath of Becky. Lulu Wilson's back as the Becky character girl from the first one, and she gets more personal revenge on newer bad guys in this one. That she gets married, she takes marriage into her own home in her own hands. And believe it or not, Sean William Scott is in the movie, Sherwin Scott is in the second Ralph and Becky movie, and it's like Sherwin Scott, really? Because Sherwin Scott, everybody knows Sherwin Scott. He's known as Stifler or the Stiffmeister, the character that they give him in American Pie movies. So for him to do a movie like this, like, oh, this is a completely different role for Sherwin Scott. So I'm glad he get to be part of this sequel back to the Becky movie, and it was good to see him. And as a villainous, as all he plays a villain, obviously, it was good to see him. Um, it was cool, yeah. And we have there's a Netflix movie called Heart of Stone, starring Gal Gadot. I wouldn't say it was the best because I've seen a lot of spy action movies that were good and less good, but Heart of Stone was Gal Gadot. It's a pretty average, decent little action flick movie. It really is. It has some good action. It has some good action moment scenes in it, car chases, and Gal Gadot is badass because she's known as Wonder Woman, and she's great as Wonder Woman, and she rocks in this little Netflix action movie as well, Heart of Stone. Yeah. So yeah. And there's a film called Assassin. It's a direct-to-video movie starring Bruce Willis. It's sadly Bruce Willis's last movie role before he retired from acting because of his dementia health issue problems that he's going through. And even though the Assassin movie, it wasn't all very good, but but the best thing about the best thing about this movie, this direct-to-video movie, Assassin, with Bruce Willis, is seeing all Bruce Willis's character scenes, his scenes. Just watch. You can see the movie, and you don't have to like the movie. You can just you can just see all Bruce. You can just skip to all the Bruce Willis character scenes that he's in, and enjoy his last role. Before his retirement, because he has dementia problem, health going on, and it's very sad to hear what he's going through. I mean, because Bruce Willis is an action icon, and even though it might not be a good, it might be not be a good movie, but at least he did one last movie role before retirement. So it was cool to see him one last time in the movie, and you know, it's just sad what he's going through. So also we have The Killer. It's a Netflix action movie starring Michael Fassbender and Tilda Swinton. When I heard about this Killer movie, I was like, okay, The Killer. It's directed by David Fincher, who did Fight Club, who did the Seven movie and the third Alien movie. The Killer. It was a pretty decent movie. I like the performance by Michael Fassbender. He was good in the role, and there were some good action moments that I thought that delivered. But I just wish it could have been much better. So, but yeah, it was a pretty good little underrated movie. It's a Netflix movie, apparently, The Killer. Michael again starring Michael Fassbender, directed by David Fincher, Tilda Swinton. So make sure to check it out if you like those sort of things. And we have Slaughterhouse. No, I didn't say slaughter. I mean slot. You know those animal critters, sloths. Well, there's a movie called Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse. Those creatures, sloths, creatures that you find in the jungle or like in the forest or at a zoo. Well, there's a movie called Slaughterhouse. It's a sloth that is in a sorority house. And it's a ridiculous concept. I was like, what? A sloth animal creature is in a sorority house and is attacking all the sorority girls in the film. This is a wacky, ridiculously little movie I don't think a lot of you have never heard about. It's on Hulu right now, and I think you could find it on DVD, whatever you could find it. I'm thinking you may like it. You may like it as much as than it did me, but yeah, it's there were some good moments, scenes in it, frightening moments in it, and sloths attacking the sorority girls in the film. You know, so I recommend it to all of you who's never heard about this movie. I'm thinking all of you may like it, or you may find it ridiculously over the top. It is, but we also have Ghosted. It's an Apple Plus movie starring Ana de Armas and Chris Evans, Adrian Brody. Um, Ana de Armas and Chris Evans. This is the third time that Chris Evans and Ana de Armas they did a movie together, because they did two movies together before this one. One was Knives Out in 2019, and the second movie that they both did was The Gray Man. It's by the Russo brothers, a Netflix movie called The Gray Man. But I'm not sure that Chris Evans or Andy Armas have scenes together in the Gray Man movie, or maybe they did, and I just didn't quite pay attention to it. But anyways, it was great to see Chris Evans and Andy Armas back from Knives Out. The scene, just the two of these, just the two of these actors, they're just so great together. The chemistry that they both share. This is a fun movie as an Apple Plus movie. Ghosted. If you have Apple Plus, if only you have Apple Plus, it's called Ghosted. I recommend you check it out. It's entertaining as action and it's romantic stuff in it. It's a romantic spy movie, obviously. And it was good to see Andy Armas and Chris Evans back together. This is the third time they team up. And that'd be cool. And I like to see more films with them two stars again because they just work. They work so good together, brilliantly. Um, and there's a Netflix movie called The Conference. It's set like in Sweden. It's a Swedish slasher movie. The Conference. There were some good moments in it. It's really there's some scenes there were graphic violence in it and black humorness. There were some funny scenes in it, but if you never heard about this movie, The Conference, I recommend you check it out if you like that sort of things. To me, I thought it was a pretty decent little slasher movie. Again, it's on Netflix. If you never heard of it, it's called Conference. It's a Swedish movie. So VHS 85. Oh, I love the VHS. I love the VHS movies. The first VHS is my favorite. VHS 2 is my favorite. And I've seen the other sequels, and they're not as good as the first and the second VHS movies. And there's this new one released on Shudder called VHS 85. And there were some moments there are some good moments like two or four moments. There's like two or four. This it's like an anthology movie is what it is. It tells I don't know, like four or five stories different, but there's a couple of free stories I really like about in VHS 85. There's some good crazy stuff in it, and you know if you guys never seen the VHS movie, I highly recommend you check out all the VHS movies. But the first VHS is good. That's my favorite one. The first VHS is my favorite. The second one is really good. I like the second VHS movie, and the other VHS sequels they were pretty okay in their own little you know category. But VHS 85 there were some good stories, anthology stories that I found really interesting, and yeah, I think you may like it if you like the 80s. We have Totally Killer. It's a black comedy slasher film. It's on Prime Video called Totally Killer. It's about a young girl who goes back in, who goes who goes to a local carnival, and she goes back in time to to find because the little girls well I'm afraid I cannot say I don't want to give away what the plot of the movie's about. But little girl, but the teenage girl, a teenage girl goes back in time in the 80s, and when she's back in time, she's trying to find the killer who had killed, her mother's friends back in the 80s before she was born. So she goes back in time in the 80s, and she finds her mom when she was a teenager. And her teenager, when the girl's mother was a teenager in the 80s, she goes back and find her, and she does find her mom as a teenager and her friends before, and she's trying to. The main girl is trying the main girl is a girl is trying to warn her teenager mother and her friends that her mom and her friends are in danger by this sweet 16 killer that would kill her and that would kill the mom and her friends because it's called a sweet 16 killer. That's what the killer they call him. It's a very interesting concept slasher black comedy I should say. It's on Prime Video. If you never heard about it, I recommend it. It might be fun for all of you. Yes. River Wild. Now, when I heard about this movie River Wild, I was like, River Wild? Is that the one with Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon from the 90s? And actually, It is not a We're Wild. It's not like the Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon one. I don't. Wait a minute, because the We're Wild is perfect the way it is. I mean, Meryl Streep, Kevin Bacon about the river rafting. Um, it was a good movie. And now we come to so I would say River Wild. This River Wild movie, it's like a spiritual sequel to the first one, but I'm not really sure you can call it a spiritual sequel or just a standalone sequel as it is. However you want to call it. It was a pretty okay movie. But you know who stars in River Wild? Lake Team Mester. And I was like, ooh, Lake Team Mester, because I like Lake Team Mester. You will probably remember her, Lake Team Mester. She's the original Gospel Girl on the Gospel Girl TV show. Was Blake Lively, back in the days. She was on that Gospel Girl show, and she was known for her character in that show. What was her name? Blair Waldorf, known as Queen Bee. It was good to see Lake Team Mester, and then she did other movies. She did movies afterwards. Gospel Girl was over, and so it was good to see Lake Team Mester and this a former Gospel Girl actress in this type of movie were wild. So it's really cool to see her. I like to see her do more action movie. Oh, and there's another movie too that she did, Lake Team Mester. What is it? Came out like 2021, I believe. It's a Netflix movie called The Weekend Away. And that one was really good. The Weekend was really good. It's kind of like a homage. It's like an homage. There's like a homage to, those suspense movies from the '90s that we all miss. It's like a homaging suspenseful film from the '90s type of thing. Anyways, it came out in 21. The Weekend Away. That's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen that, go check it. I highly recommend it. Link to Mester was good in that one. It's called The Weekend Away. And The Real Wild, the Real Wild was pretty okay. It's not as good as the first one with more Stream Camp Bacon, but it was good to see Link to Mester in a film like this, and I just thought she was great. It was. And okay, everybody. That's all the movies that I saw this year that were less good of 2023. Thank you for watching my new brand new episode. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And next week, I'm gonna talk about the Netflix movies, all the Netflix movies that I've seen. I'm gonna give you my thoughts and opinions about them, what I like about them, or which ones were less good ones. So thank you again, and I will see all of you at the movies.